It's Godlogic.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty, because you're saying that the multiple messiahs brought down the revelation, the Sharia, yes, the law. So it doesn't, it equates everybody that received the Sharia as messiahs,
yes.
Right? Very good. Now, if we're saying that Messiah means chosen one and anointed one, my question also was last week is, why is Jesus the only one that's identified as the Messiah, not just a Messiah, but he's called Al-Masih? That's my question to you right now.
So the first mistake you're making is the ma'rifah, right? Here, again, you also have al-ma'rifah. Al, right? So it's not like this is nakira. This is also ma'rifah, right? The messiahs, meaning each one of them is going to take that title with ma'rifah. You understand what ma'rifah is?
What is that?
So when you're saying al, what is al?
The.
Yeah, well, what does that denote in Arabic?
It's talking about a specific person,
right?
or
When
group
you
or
know
subject.
it's being, so this also rings the al here, right? So don't think this is anything different. Now, prophets have different laqabs, different titles given, right? Like Ibrahim alayhi salam, and I explained this to you last week, was called Khalilullah, right?
Yeah.
But the Prophet Muhammad also Khalilullah. But when you look in the Quran, you look at the different prophets who were given different titles.
Yeah.
Like in Hadith, for example, the Prophet Muhammad is called Kalimullah, the one who spoke with Allah, right? But that doesn't mean other prophets didn't speak with Allah. Here, the Masih, Isa ibn Maryam, has been given this title in the Quran. What is the meaning of that title? From Hadith, from At-Tabari, from Mawsu' al-Ma'thur, I explained already. The meaning of that is for that they was a chosen Nabi, right? Now, from that, we can show that all of the Anbiya were also called Messiahs. Al with Ma'rifah. So that point that you were making is dead now, because I've proven it from Hadith. Now, the thing is, your question, and it's on video, last week and this week, was show me from the Quran or Hadith somebody other than Isa alayhi salam being referenced as Messiah. I brought you a clear reference, right? Masih, Masuh, because we said this is for the Anbiya. It's not just for one prophet, it's for all of them. I brought that reference. Now, as I'm speaking, we're not just here for your debate, right? We last week had a discussion about the
Messiah
issue of Jesus knowing or not knowing. Right?
That's fine, but we're not changing the subject.
No,
we're not. We're not done about the subject.
I'm speaking.
You finished.
No, I'm not finished.
Okay,
don't tell me when I'm finished.
Okay, so Uthman, what you're doing is changing the subject.
Let me explain it
We're
again.
talking about the Messiah.
Let me speak. So you're speaking over me.
No, you're going on. You already made like 3 points.
And you're interrupting.
Okay, you can bring this up. We're going back to the Messiah.
When you were speaking, I didn't interrupt you. But when I was speaking, you interrupted.
No, stop.
On video.
No, you interrupted me. You interrupted me
I
too.
did not.
It's on video. So are you going to talk over me now?
No, I'm not.
So what did we agree with? No, I did. Did I not just sit here and let you speak? Thank you.
I stayed quiet and said I'll let you finish. Now, the issue here is your question is answered. Now, what you're trying to do is trying to keep hopping back and forth on that, because you know that the book you recommended. Now, this book, and I think you said it was a good book too, right? Right, Khan? You said it was a good book too, right?
I said John MacArthur's a good author.
A good author, right?
Yeah.
This author, well, why you look sad, man? Smile.
I'm listening.
Right.
You can do all the showman. It doesn't matter. You got to have a discussion, Uthman.
This book, the MacArthur Study Bible, is one that Avery recommended to me. Upon his recommendation, I went out and bought this book, right? Now, under the verse, where he's on video, so he's not going to jump from this now, right? Where he said that Jesus did know, he just didn't declare it. He had the knowledge. He wasn't speaking out of not knowing. He had the knowledge, but like the Jewish wedding, where it's the father's right to declare, so Jesus knew it, he just didn't declare, which to me didn't make sense at the time, because if he knew and said, I don't know, that would be a lie, and I don't believe prophets lie. But that's just my understanding. But his point was, Jesus did know. In the MacArthur Study Bible that you recommended, what does it mention? Like now you're jumping in the middle, right?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Bro.
It's okay. Let him finish his monologue and his showmanship.
Nor the Son, when it says in the verse in Mark 13:32, as you well know, that but of the day and hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. MacArthur Study Bible says when Jesus spoke these words to his disciple. You guys paying attention? When Jesus spoke these words to his disciple, even he had no knowledge of the date and time of his return. I'm going to read that one more time. All right? When Jesus spoke these words, what happened to the smile?
No, I'm always
Then
smiling,
these
Uthman.
words,
Just waiting for you to
when
finish.
Jesus spoke these words to his disciples, even he had no knowledge of the date and time of his return.
All right. So did you finish your monologue now?
It's not a monologue.
It is a monologue.
It's a discussion.
No, it's not a
And when it's a
discussion.
discussion,
You're
when you
interrupting me
speak-
now.
when
You're
you
interrupting me now.
You asked me a question.
No, you're
You just
done.
asked me a
So now
question.
you're interrupting me.
But you just asked me a
No,
question.
Quit the showmanship.
No, you asked a
No,
question.
you can
You said,
quit
"Did you
quit the
finish your
showmanship.
monologue?"
So
Look,
you're done?
You
So
asked a question.
If you're done, let me go.
If you ask a question, expect an answer.
It's a done. If you're done,
If
let
you
me
don't
go.
have a question, speak.
Thank you so much. So now we've heard the monologue. He wants to run away from the messianic title. It's a resurrection day. We're going to stick to the topic. I've already dealt with you on that subject. You can quote any commentator. I'm not like you. You can quote an interpretation if you want. I use verses in scripture. And you couldn't deal with the topic last time. You couldn't deal with the argument. And so this is hilarious to me that you have to do this. But that's fine. I showed you the verses. I explained it to you and backed it up with scripture. And I backed it up with cultural context. You can take whatever you want. Take your own interpretation. That's fine. I'm talking to you now about the Messiah. Since we're not done, you brought up your sources and you don't want to examine it. You don't want to go deeper into the subject because you're afraid of the messianic title. You're afraid of the messianic conversation because your Quran doesn't tell you anything about it. Your Quran don't tell you nothing. So here's my question to you. Because if you're talking about, okay, multiple people are referred to as messiahs, which you brought from this source right here, no problem at all. Here's my question to you. When it comes to Jesus, and he's called Al-Masih, what was the purpose of him being called the Messiah?
Excellent question. You want me to answer?
According to the Quran and Hadith.
You want me to answer?
According to the Quran and Hadith, please.
Yeah. When you ask a question, you have to understand how tafsir is made, how Quran is explained.
Tafsir, not the Quran, but the tafsir. Because you told me he was going to bring me the verses. You interrupted me too.
Look at this. Look at this.
Oh no, it's the same.
Look
It's
at
the same energy. You gotta be
Look
consistent.
at this.
You gotta be consistent. So go
I
ahead.
even hush my mouth.
Yeah,
I stay
go ahead.
quiet. I let you speak.
Yeah, you
now
interrupted
you're
a little
interrupting.
bit.
You're
Let's both
interrupting
ways.
again.
Go ahead.
You're still interrupting.
Go ahead.
When you ask, what does the Quran mean with this word? Right? The Quran gives you the word. I gave you from a tabari, right? Which you saw. From athar. You know what athar are? From hadith, where you have the chain that is checked at the meaning of the word. If you ask, what is the meaning from hadith? You said, yeah, this is called a hadith. Mawquf, marfu', qudsi. If you don't know that, you should watch our playlist on what a hadith is.
You went to commentary.
Right?
Go ahead.
It's a hadith commentary.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
So you asked from the Quran and hadith.
Yeah.
The Quran calls Isa al-Masih, right? What does it mean by al-Masih? For example, here from, this is from Al-Qurtubi, Tafsir Al-Qurtubi. You know Tafsir Al-Qurtubi?
Yep.
Okay. Here he brings the aqwal from Ibn Abbas. You know Ibn Abbas is?
Yeah, the cousin.
He's a companion of the Prophet.
Yeah, his
so
cousin.
when you have a hadith from the Sahabi, this is considered a hadith. We call this a mawquf hadith. The chain and all that is checked. So he gives the meanings of what is come under the meaning of Masih. So he says, and it was said from it, إِنَّهُ مَمْسُوحٌ بِالْبَرَكَةِ. He was blessed with barakah. كَانَتْ الْأَنْبِيَاء. This is what the prophets were called when they were chosen. فَإِذَا مُسَحَ بِهِ عُلِمَ إِنَّهُ نَبِي. If he was chosen and he was called Masih, then you would know that he's a Nabi.
Based on what?
This is the statement of Ibn Abbas.
Yeah, what is he basing that on?
His statement, it's a hadith, it's a mawquf hadith of Ibn Abbas.
Uthman, I understand now. My question, because
Okay.
so Ibn Abbas.
So I give you Quran.
Listen.
Let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not done, right? Now, this is, if you want to go to the linguistics of it, right? We have linguistics as well. Right? This is from Al-Bahr al-Muhit, another book of Tafsir, Al-Tabari, Mawsu' al-Athar, where it goes through the actual narrations from the Sahaba. And that's why I scanned them and put them on the video as well. If you want to say that why did the Quran not say Al-Masih also means this, that's not the way the Quran is. The Quran gives you the hukam. We take from ahadith, we take from Sahaba the explanation of the Quran then, and those are considered hadith. Your question, is it in the Quran? I showed you the meaning of the word.
Where?
In the video, in the book I just
Not
showed
in the
you.
Quran though.
From the hadith that explains what
From
that word
the
meant.
tafsir that
Exactly.
quotes
So if you
people,
wanna
that
know
quotes
what
this
the
person,
word
that quotes this
means,
person, that quotes this person.
If you want to know what the word means, then when a Sahabi explains it, that's a hujjah. That's an evidence to explain what that word meant.
Okay.
Okay? Second, I'm not done.
Oh my goodness. You got 5 minutes. He just got 5 minutes. You gotta
Nobody put
let
a timer on me.
me. But hold on,
Look,
Uthman, you gotta let me
look,
get in.
Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
I gave you from the athar,
This isn't a discussion.
not just the tafsir like it was somebody's opinion, evidence-based tafsir. That Masih had the meaning of the one who has barakah, the one who's chosen.
Tafsir.
It can be for all of the prophets. It can be being all of them. And then I gave you actual evidence. You kept saying nowhere in the Quran hadith. I gave you an actual
I asked
hadith with the sanad, with the volume, with the page number, with the book, all of that.
Okay,
right?
you ready?
So now that you have those answers, on top of that, if you want to look at the linguistics of it, to understand the Arabic of it, I got you on that as well.
May I respond?
But you can, when I finish, then you can respond. But you cannot tell me, oh no, it has to be, the Quran has to say Rasul means this, Nabi means this. Those words like Rasul and Nabi and Khalil, when they're used in Quran and Hadith, they don't come with a definition dictionary. You look at the context, and when you have Hadith that show that all of the Anbiya were called Masah, they were called Masih, all of them together with Al, with the Ma'rifah, then that means that Masih is an anointed, a chosen one, and that can be referred to any prophet.
All right, very good. So I want to go back to this Ibn Abbas claim, because this is a person who is a companion of the Prophet, who's saying what Messiah means and things of these things of this nature. My question to you was, where did he get that from?
Great question. When we look at the tafsir of somebody like Ibn Abbas, if you know who Ibn Abbas is, not only was he the cousin, he was the one that the Prophet ﷺ made dua for him to understand the
That's
word.
fine.
Let me finish. Don't interrupt.
That's not my question.
Don't interrupt. It is your question. Listen and you'll find the answer.
I know who Ibn Abbas is.
If you listen, you will get the answer. If
go
you
ahead.
keep interrupting, you're not going to get the answer.
I'm listening. You're not answering my question.
You see this? You guys see this?
Do we see
You
this?
see this
I asked a
interrupting?
simple question.
I'm trying to answer his question. He keeps interrupting.
I'm not.
He
I'm
knows
letting you go.
I'm fasting. I have to get going to prepare for.
Yeah, so please
iftar,
answer. Get to
and
the question.
That's why he doesn't want to let me finish.
No,
He
get
wants
to the
interrupt.
question. You got 5 minutes. 4 minutes probably.
When I'm speaking, please don't speak.
So my question is, where did
Okay.
Ibn Abbas get this from?
I am answering that
right, go
exact
ahead.
question.
Please.
If you would listen.
Please, go ahead.
Open your ears. Close
Oh,
your mouth.
I'm listening. Yeah, I'm just not hearing the answer. So go ahead.
Don't ask the question if you don't want the answer.
Look
You
at
don't gotta
this.
jump in.
Look at
Listen
this.
to what's going on.
Let me deal with it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua for him. Oh Allah, give him the understanding of wahi. He says, I went over the Quran with the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. And his students Mujahid and Ata, they went over every verse asking the meaning from who? From the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam himself. So when you have a tafsir of somebody like Ibn Abbas, we give this to marfu'an, that he took this knowledge from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even if he doesn't say Samiyatu Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is called al-mawquf bi hukm al-rafa.
Got you. So every understanding that Ibn Abbas says, you take it as he's getting it straight from the Prophet, whatever his understanding is.
Okay, so there's 3 things you have to look at first. Right? Well, you want to learn, then you got to learn.
It's a simple question.
It's a simple
That's
question.
it.
I'm giving you a simple answer.
Thank you.
But it's not
I don't
gonna
need
mold-
the 3 things.
But it's 3 things. If that's your
So
question,
it was very.
it has
I was
3
just.
things.
Look, I was just
It has
summarizing
3
what you
things.
said.
First thing you have to look at is the authenticity of the chain.
No problem. Let's assume authentic. Okay.
Second thing you have to, if Ibn Abbas give different interpretations, then we have to look at context of where the ayah is.
Very good.
Understand? Meaning at times an ayah is revealed during war, and at time an ayah is revealed during peace.
Yes.
Right? You have to look at that.
Yes.
Third thing you have to look at whether the chain is connected to Ibn Abbas or if it's mu'allakan. You know what mu'allakan is?
I don't, but let's assume that it's all 3. That these are good.
Then
So
if he explains the Quran, authentic tafsir, then we think that he would take this knowledge from the Prophet ﷺ.
all right, no problem. So assuming that it's straight up authentic,
Okay.
not confusion interpretations.
Okay.
Whatever Ibn Abbas said is coming straight from Muhammad.
In tafsir of the Quran, where things that have to do with the ghaib, with the unknown, yes.
Thank you. Okay.
But there is, I mean, there's depth to it. You're trying to make it simple.
No. Look,
Sometimes,
it's okay.
Sometimes
It's okay.
Ibn Abbas, for example, he reports something that he would not have been old enough to know.
That's fine.
So then we would assume that he learned that from another Sahabi.
All right, got you. All right, so the things that Ibn Abbas explains, gives his opinion on, gives his interpretation
Of the unseen.
Okay, on the other scene, authentically, you're saying he got it. You assume because of the prayer that Muhammad put on him that he's getting it straight from Muhammad. Okay, so that's an assumption that you have to make because you believe Muhammad, being the prophet, prayed that this prayer is answered.
Yeah,
that's what you get this from.
That's what you asked us about.
But okay, very good. So, but when I read this and I see this statement being made, these blanket statements, random statements, I'm not seeing any quotation of a verse where he's backing it up, but it's just an understanding that Ibn Abbas is given of himself. So when I ask you from the Quran, what is the purpose of the Messiah when it comes to Jesus and the Hadith, where do you get that from? That's my question.
So I'm going to give it to you one more time. And this is the last time I'm going to explain this because I've explained it 3 times already. Okay? When you have an ayah from Quran, how do we understand the context? We look at first and foremost the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Quran itself, the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when we see the hadith of Sahaba, for example, mentioning that Masih being with al reference to Anbiya generally, then we give that understanding from hadith. From hadith we understand the ayah, right? And if a Sahabi like Ibn Mas'ud or Ibn Abbas authentically with all the shurut explains the hadith, that is a hujjah for us, that is an evidence for us.
No problem.
If you don't take it as a hujjah, that's up to you.
No problem.
But you asked me as a Muslim, so I gave you the reference as a Muslim.
Right. So the thing is that you're not giving an understanding from the Quran, but from commentary, from men trying to give their interpretations and explanations, but not from the Quran. You gave something from the Hadith that refers to people as messiahs, plural. But here's the thing. So would you agree that, no, I'm gonna just ask you this. When it comes to Jesus being the Messiah, because the Quran talks about how Jesus is the Messiah and the messenger, right? He says, it says Jesus the Messiah in chapter 4, verse 171. Jesus the Messiah was a messenger, was a Rasul, right? It says he's the Messiah, then it says who is the messenger, right? So denoting that the Messiah is something distinct from just simply the messenger, right? So my question to you is this: why is there a distinction between Messiah and messenger when you're trying to say that all a Messiah is just a messenger? Why does it make the distinction there?
No problem. I got you. I responded to this question in the last debate, but again, you didn't listen.
I heard everything. That's why I'm asking the same question.
When you talk about a Nabi and a Rasul, right? It does not mean they're two different things, but those are referencing to the different tasks given. For example,
very good tasks.
When you are a Rasul, you are given a Risala. When you are istafa, you are chosen. It doesn't mean those are different, right? But you are chosen. All prophets are chosen.
And the task is different.
And when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was given the Risala, he was a Rasul. As he was chosen a Nabi, he was a Nabi. He is also called Al-Mustafa, that he was the chosen, istafa'an. Now if you say, oh, how come there isn't a hadith that mentions Musa being called Mustafa? That's just your ignorance. Because the fact that he was chosen as a prophet shows that he was Nastafa, he was chosen. Now, to say that he was called Masih and Rasul means two different things is again ignorance, because Al-Masih, as I said, is from the Anbiya. It's a reference given to Anbiya. Anbiya are all prophets. Like Rasul is that he got an actual book or Risala, right? That is different from a Sharia that is given to other Anbiya.
Can I ask you a quick question on that?
Let me finish first, right? So, for example, you have the Zabur, you have the Tawrat, you have the Injil, you have the Quran, you have the Suhuf. These are given to Rusul. But those Rusul are also Anbiya. They're also prophets. So if they're called Nabi and Rasul, it doesn't mean they're two different things.
Excellent.
And when we see in the hadith that Masah, the Al-Masihs are given Shari'at, that means everybody given laws from the prophets were also called Masih.
No problem.
So for him to be called Rasul does not mean that he was given a different task.
Okay. Thank you. So the Rasuls are Nabis, right?
Yes.
But the Rasuls, the distinction is that the Rasuls have a different task than the Nabis. Correct?
No.
Correct?
No.
Correct?
No. When you talk about a Nabi a Nabi and a Rasul, right? It does not mean they're two different things, but those are referencing to the different tasks given. Different tasks given.
With the message,
Okay.
the Nebis don't.
I'll let you
right?
finish.
The prophets do not come with the law, with the Sharia, but the messengers do. The Rasuls do.
I'll
Correct.
let you finish.
So if you're, because you just identified the distinction there, how now, even though there's a different task, there's a distinct task, still the Rasul qualifies as a Nebi, but he has a little bit more responsibility. So there's a slight distinction, as you just demonstrated. Now, when we see in the Quran that it mentions Messiah and Rasul, right? So I'm not saying, so it doesn't mean that Messiahs aren't Rasul, or Rasul, there's a distinct task for the Messiah that the Rasul doesn't have. That's what I'm understanding from this.
It's Godlogic.